but I believe you
Oh,
guys are
I
on the fifth
think
day of your journey in the Underdark, making today the sixth day of Prime Deaths. But what were you saying, Michael?
I was saying I think that was why I didn't put notes on the calendar. Was because I was so fucking confused by the time. Like I wasn't sure if like we even knew what time it actually was. So it was
Yeah.
like, but if you're actually being honest with us with time, then I'll like put them on like the days that we said we've been on. I just don't want to like mess up the calendar
Yeah.
and then have it like not make sense.
Yeah, I kind of thought, like, looking at the calendar, I thought that may have been the case on what happened. Because I felt like a few of you were kind of confused on exactly what day it was. But from my point of view, I was perfectly cool with that because I wanted it to be confusing.
Okay.
I think I can math it
Uh,
by how many rations we have.
yeah. I mean, if you also, like, reflect on, like, the encounters, like, I think every night there was an encounter of some type, wasn't there? Maybe all except the last night.
Yeah, I think we finally got some
Right.
respite at the end.
The actual day is the sixth day of Prime Deaths. And we're going to kind of pick up right where we left off. You guys have arrived to this city in the deep that gnomes, the dark gnomes, the pale gnomes are at. How exactly, do you guys know exactly how to say, like, the name of the deep gnomes? Is like Seraphim or Seraphim?
Snurfnablin?
Like, Surfniblim? I don't know. Like, I look at that name, I'm just like, deep gnomes. Like, that's what comes out when I look at that name. Deep gnomes. They're just a freaking deep gnomes. Okay? But you have arrived at the city of the deep gnomes. And as you have arrived here in this city, really, like, I really don't know how to word what you guys have encountered so far. Um, Zarbin's world has maybe been turned upside down. And because of the holy symbol he bears, the deep gnomes refuse to grant you guys access into their city. And I believe one of the last words spoken by you guys came from Elgin when he said, "Fine, we'll just stay out here, all of us." So they were saying that Teshnik and Elgin could go in, but Zarbin could not. So
Yeah.
the group said, "We shall stay out."
Uh,
That's kind of where we've ended off.
Yeah,
So
unknown as
our last session ended on at the end of the fifth 10 day, or the I'm sorry, the fifth sun of the first 10 day. Is that right? So today is basically the start of the sixth day.
Yeah, and it was like the beginning of the sixth day when you had kind of walked up onto the city.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I believe. If not, screw it. It's the beginning of the sixth day. And if, like, in our playtime, if we go back and we reflect on the last session, and it technically should be like the end of the fifth, we can just, we'll just say that you guys lost track of time in the Underdark.
Well, I
So,
mean, the Underdark's a
beginning of
weird
the sixth day.
place, you know, so.
Yeah, and that is a very likely scenario. So for the sake of what is canon, it is the beginning of the sixth day. And you guys have arrived at the city of the deep gnomes. And your access has not been granted. So does someone want to maybe frame a scene or something as we begin this session? Just kind of show what's going on amongst you guys.
I still have inspiration.
Sure.
Oh.
Of course, we'd go at the same
Of
time.
course,
Sing
the two
so.
of you with the same voices who already drive Bradley insane.
Yeah.
Both
No,
say
I
the same
think
thing
I
at the
have.
exact
I
same
now.
time.
He's
I think
figured
I
out
now have the ability to distinguish you guys.
how to differentiate the two of us.
Uh,
Yeah, you can
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm filling out the calendar anyways, so I would kind of be distracted anyways.
All right. So the three of us are standing there face to face with the horde of gnomes, and both Teshik and Zarbin have no idea but what is being said, but they just keep seeing the gnomes furiously pointing at Zarbin as Elgin continues to banter back and forth with them in his fairly broken gnomish that he speaks. After a bit, Elgin finally just says his piece, and the gnomes just turn and slowly head back inside their gate and shut the gate in front of us, leaving us in pretty much the dark, essentially. Just low light from their watchtowers as they watch upon us, and Elgin just turns to the rest of the group and kind of shakes his head and begins to lay out his bedroll, and that's where we are.
Nice.
Wasn't there a gnome that's actually speaking common, and
He was, but I spoke
There was.
gnomish to him, and he was speaking
Wait,
gnomish.
did he actually speak common? Yeah, he did. He did.
He
confused
did
myself for a second.
on occasion, like here and there, but like whenever I was trying to, plead with them to stop being dickheads.
Yeah, because I think he told Zarbin why the gnomes were giving him dirty looks.
Yes.
I've drank since then, so possibly.
I mean, Dan, what was going on your end? You had spoken up about Teshnik wanting to frame something.
This wouldn't be so much a past memories, but it'd be like an observation about you guys. Would probably notice is that it's kind of felt like a huge weight's been lifted off Teshik's chest now that you guys know basically of his abilities, and you haven't, you kind of had like a weird reaction, but it wasn't like a hostile reaction. You guys kind of just accepted it as like a weird thing. And so he seems a lot less guarded around you guys, at least for the time being. And you kind of just, you see like for the first time that like he seems more of like just like this moon, like it just seems like everything about him feels more like majestic to you now. You like, I mean, you maybe noticed all along, or like these like markings and like these signs of like hair where there shouldn't be hair kind of thing, or like whatever, and maybe you just never noticed, but like now it's just like very like apparent to you. It's just like he's owned it kind of thing. So that's just like a change in like composure thing that would probably be going on, at least around you guys. But like say around like the gnolls, he's kind of back to his around the gnomes, he's back to his like normal kind of a little bit deceptive self. He has major trust issues, so you're kind of starting to realize that probably. So
Nice.
Yeah, and I think Zarbin, after the shock of the information like settles in, I think he just like crumbles onto his feet, and his like eyes visibly like darken, like it loses the glow that his race has. And he's just kind of sitting there wide-eyed, staring in the ground.
Nice. So, as all of this is going on, and as you guys are kind of like accepting things for what they are, and Elgin begins to unroll his bedroll, you guys see like the door to like the little tower that they have, kind of looking over everything. You see the door open, and the gnome who spoke some common, the surface gnome, he comes out. And he's walking swiftly and quickly over to you guys with a wobble. He wobbles a little bit when he walks. And as he's walking towards you guys, there's two other pale gnomes that come out alongside him. They do not walk your guys' direction. They turn and they begin walking in the opposite direction as the surface gnome walks your guys' direction. He walks up to you guys, and his head is to the ground. He does not directly look at you guys, and then he looks up. But when he looks up, he doesn't necessarily look at any of you guys. He kind of like looks between you guys, and as he's looking between you guys, he begins to speak. The entire time he's speaking, he's not making eye contact. He says, "The king is being summoned. He comes." And then he looks to you three. He's looking to you guys to gauge your reaction to see how you guys are going to respond to this. He hesitates a moment to see if you guys are going to say anything. And if no one says anything, he then speaks again. "I am sorry, but at this time, we cannot grant you passage into our city. We are very hesitant of those we allow in. And for obvious reasons that have been expressed, we cannot grant you access." And he looks in the direction of Zarbin. But then he continues. "But if anyone could grant any type of access, or any relation was to come of us and you, it would be by the hands of our king. So he is being summoned." And then he looks around again to you guys. "There are questions we have of you all." And now he looks in the direction of Elgin.
Wait, what
But
name did he say?
of Elgin.
No,
He
before that.
looks in the
You said
he
only one person could grant them.
Yeah, the king.
What was the name?
He didn't say the king's name.
he
yet.
did not say the name.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard Arcanist. I was like, what? Okay. Sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no. Swerve! Arcanist is an old noble. Arcanist is an old man with books. Arcanist is a pale gnome king. No.
Darkness is life.
Yes. Arcanist is ascending into godhood. He's like a man of many faces. But no, he continues. I don't even know what I was saying now. It'll come back to me. Oh, I remember. He says that for obvious reasons we cannot grant access. He looks in the direction of Zarbin. And he continues, "However, though, of your guys' spirit, we do sense," and he looks in the direction of Elgin, "we do sense nobility and goodness, and the questions we may have, the concerns we have, nobility and goodness, they do not go hand in hand. I don't know if access can be granted, but you can definitely speak to our king. We will give you that much, travelers who come from far away."
You say nobility and goodness doesn't go hand in hand?
Yes, nobility and goodness does not go hand in hand with the things that we are concerned of. And then he looks to Zarbin. Because you see, if our concerns were true, how could one of this nature be with one like you? And then he looks in the direction of Elgin. So how are you responding to all of this, Zarbin? This gnome looks you up and down to gauge how you're responding.
I don't think Zarbin even recognized people are speaking to him. Like he's mumbling to himself, and like you'll hear Amora said every now and then. But apart from that, he's
So Elgin and Teshnik, you guys see the gnome like reach to his side, and he like puts his hand like on a dagger he has on his side, and he begins walking towards Zarbin. As he walks, his body language isn't that like of a threatening position. It's kind of more of a defensive position as he approaches him. And with his hand that's not like clenching the dagger, he takes it out and he kind of like nudges Zarbin. Hey, you.
I just put my hand
and the
on his
gnome
shoulder.
nudges you.
Yeah, I just put my hand on Sir Benefin's shoulder. Like, Little one, listen. If your fears were true, and Zarbin was a controlled by a dark spirit, or there was evil within him, I promise you this, that there'd be bits and pieces of him strewn about, and no one would ever recognize him, and no god would ever bring him back.
You see this like twinkle of like I don't know what the word is, like maybe relief, a little bit of joy in his eye, and you see the grip on his knife just kind of loosen, and he puts his hand to his side that was clenching the knife. He doesn't look to you, Elgin. He looks to Zarbin, just kind of gauging him. Say, where are your thoughts? He says to you. What is it you think? He leans in towards you, Zarbin.
I think Zarbin will like look at him, but he's not really looking at him. He's more like looking through him,
Okay.
and then he'll like shake his head and look back down.
He then looks towards Teshnik for a second, and then towards Elgin. And as he looks towards Elgin, he looks a little bit deeper into Elgin as he's kind of dealt more with Elgin than Teshnik. What's wrong with him? He says in regards to Zarbin.
Well, imagine, if you will, that your family disowned you for something that you believed in, and then your people disowned you for something that you believed in, and then you traveled across the world for something you believed in, and then journeyed with friends for something that you believed in, only to find out that what you believed in might not have quite been what you truly thought it was. It's a lot to drop on somebody.
He kind of like nods, reflecting like what you're saying. Like you can tell he's having like a really deep inner moment, and then he looks to Zarbin. I think, he says to Zarbin, I think I can understand. As you can see, he kind of holds his arms out and he looks to his own skin. As you can see, I'm not like the others down here. And it's a long story, but maybe I can understand some. I can tell you, strange one, I can tell you, stand for what you believe. You know? That's what I do. I don't know. Huh. The king should be here soon. And he does like a 180, and he kind of wobbles up a little bit, waiting expectantly. Are there any words amongst you guys, or does everyone just kind of wait?
I think Zarbin, he starts praying in Celestial.
Okay. As you do, go on.
I think the party soon realizes, like, every time they've heard Zarbin pray, he doesn't pray in the normal fashion. He talks to Amor in a much more familiar way, almost like a child would. Found that
Like
kind
he's
of
talking
odd.
to someone that's right there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, as all of this is going on, you guys begin to see a light. A light begin to come, like, I don't begin to come towards you guys. At first it looks very faint, but it doesn't appear to be like the light of a fire. It doesn't appear to be like a light of a flame. Something else maybe. It doesn't really appear to be just like light that would be generated from like a light spell. Like It's something different. You guys can tell like almost immediately when you see it. And Teshnik, when you see this light come towards you, it begins to like stir these emotions inside that you haven't felt in years. Like you recognize these emotions, but you don't understand what they're coming from. And there might be a little bit of confusion with it too. And Zarbin, you kind of begin to get the same type of inclination. And as the light approaches, you guys notice that this light, it's not one light, it's 5 different lights. There appears to be like these 5 little like almost spears, like the size of like a little ball, maybe like a ping pong ball. Like these little like spears of light begin to come towards you. These 5 lights are all radiating with like the light. It's different. Like all 5 of these little like golf ball size spears, like the light in them, it's different. It's just like, I don't know, natural light, like maybe the light of a star or the light of a moon or something. It's natural. Like you can just feel it. Like I don't know how to explain it. And then from behind the light, you begin to see the small image of a humanoid creature approach. And as the humanoid creature approaches, it is definitely a very interesting creature. It is one of the pale gnomes, but he's definitely interesting. Embedded in his forehead, there is 2 rows of gems. The top row has 3 gems. The bottom row has 2 gems. And you recognize these 5 gems embedded into this gnome's forehead. They radiate with the same 5 different types of lights that are radiating from these little golf ball size like spears. And almost at first it kind of like blinds you because of the brightness, but your eyes adjust. And on top of these 5 like gems being embedded into this gnome's forehead, you see this gnome. He's bald. He's got a small goatee. His jawline, it's wide but distinguished. His eyes are thin, and they're slanted a little bit. And one of his ears, it appears to be a little bit bigger than the other. It's noticeable though. He's got a fine silk robe on. There's a fancy like short like sheath on his side, and you notice he has a shield strapped to his back. He approaches, and as he approaches, the surface gnome that's kind of standing beside you guys, he falls to his knees and he bows. And then in the common tongue, this gnome, this interesting pale gnome with 5 gems embedded into his forehead, he speaks up. Greetings. What brings you to the fair city of Warforged, the city of the deep, my city? And his eyes, his small slanted eyes, then go really wide. And he smiles. He has a creepy grin.
We heard there was a spider demon.
Spider demon, huh?
Yeah.
And as he speaks, the 5 like floating like golf ball sized spears, they kind of like rotate around him. Yes, there is a spider demon. We had some travelers of the pale skin come not too long ago to fight the spider demon. And he kind of like extends his arms out like wide, very extravagantly. And then he brings them back in. He begins like tapping his fingers together. Unfortunately, they did not stand against the demon, and the demon slew them. We sent some of our finest soldiers to try to assist them, but unfortunately, they did not stand. They fell. As all who have tried to stop the spider demon. He is definitely a creature of evil. And he lifts his chin up. You think you can fight the spider demon and conquer his vileness?
I intend to.
I myself have considered going, but I'm not sure if it's the wisest thing. And then you see him, he like whips his shield off and like he like pulls his shield out. And then from his fancy sheath, like he pulls out like a long sword. And he's like, if I was to go, I would fight him. And like he like begins to like joust as if he's fighting someone who's like not even there, like swinging his sword a little bit. And then he like twirls his sword and he like puts it back in the sheath. And then he puts his like shield back onto his back. But unfortunately, I'm not the greatest of warriors. I'm more of a charismatic individual. And he begins to play with the goatee on his chin. Oh, maybe I could fight him. I don't know. You guys also did notice that something that immediately stuck out to you whenever he whipped his shield off and he pulled his sword out. They were maybe some of the most finely crafted crap you've ever seen. Like, you're not really sure what it was, but it was almost as if like there was like these like scales on the items, like giant scales. Is very noticeable. And you kind of get the impression he was just trying to show it off. But
Just so I have this
yes.
correct, he has gems like embedded in his skin.
Yes, there are 5 gems embedded into his skin.
It's a
One
good
of
thing
them
we're not
really,
fucking.
really. What were you saying?
It's a good thing we're not crazy characters this time around, because we probably would have just murdered him off the bat and like ripped gems out of his skull. Why do you tempt us with this when we're good people?
Yeah, but Zarbin, one of the gems in his forehead, it pulled to you like hardcore. It was just like bright yellow, but you see these like glistenings of silver and blue in them. Like it drew to you. It was on the top row. It was the middle gem, and Zarbin. I mean, not Zarbin Teshnik. On the bottom row, one of the 2 gems. It like speaks to you and it like draws you, and like when you look into it, it's like you're looking into the moon that fell and shattered.
So you're saying this is like a gem that someone like saw in a dream? That kind of.
I'm not saying anything like that. You guys can make any assumptions you want. I'm just saying there's a gem in this guy's forehead and the gems are pulling to you guys. But yes, I have considered going. My council advises me not to, and they say I should stay. So I have not gone yet. I have, though, and he like extends his like fist out, like clenching it. I have, though, tried to pull in the favor of the politics so I can go, because I really just want to fight this thing. You get the impression that this guy maybe isn't all there. And you see the like surface gnome that you guys have kind of been talking to. He's kind of like looking to his king, very concerned, but he's not saying anything.
I think at this point, Zarbin like finally kind of sort of snaps out of him. He realizes like he has an idea, and he like stands up and like rushes to the guy. He's like, I think I was meant to meet you.
He pulls his. As you rush to him, he pulls the shield off his back and like puts it in front of him, and he sticks his like hand on his sword. What do you mean? And you see the pale gnome like he steps up real defensively whenever you rush towards his king. And as you rush towards him, he as you get ready to say what you're saying, he then speaks up. That holy symbol. You're the reason they won't let. You're the reason that they're not letting you guys in. Why do you think you were supposed to meet me?
My goddess Amor, she sent me a vision of that stone in your head.
He squints his eyes, like not really knowing what to say. I know of a malice half Mora, but who is this Amora? Is it Malice half Mora, or is it another Amora? And if it's the same Amora, your goddess, you know what she can do? She can go die, mate. She can go die. Okay? She's killed so many of my men. If I had the chance, do you know what I would do? I would pin her down, and I would take my foot, and I would put it on her throat, and I'd pull my sword out, and you see he whips out his sword, and he holds it up in the air. I would lift my sword in the air, and he smacks like the sword down, like as if he was like cutting off the head that he had pinned to the ground with his foot. That's what I would do to her. But then he sticks his sword in his sheath. But then he's like, unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever get the chance to stick my foot on the throat of a god and slice its head off.
Tashik might interject for a moment and he say, perhaps that's what that would do, but what would Alatariana do?
It's just like
You see when he says that name, he immediately backs up, and his eyes go wide, and you see the surface gnome. His eyes go wide, and he steps forward. He rushes towards you. He's like, "No!" The surface gnome says, "Do not speak that name."
Why?
The king then he's like, I no. He puts his hands on his face like, no. And then the surface gnome runs over to the king, and he like puts his hand on his shoulders. Go, hurry, go. Take a sacred bath. Cleanse yourself. Hurry, go. And he begins pointing. And the king he shakes his head, and he looks up to him, kind of like a child would look to his parent. And then the king like begins running off. The surface gnome
Zarbin
looks
tries
to
to
you,
interpose
and
himself.
he walks. When you do that, the king he looks up to you, and you see a different look in his eyes. It looks like, get out of my way.
I can prove to you that I'm not a worshiper of this.
Not now.
Pathmore.
Not now. I got to go. I got to bath. And he's like scratching at his head. And you see the 5 like little like spears spinning around him. They begin spinning very quickly, in a whole lot faster motion. And he kind of sidesteps you, and he begins running, like towards the city. And the surface gnome, he then looks to Teshnik, and he shakes his head. Don't ever say that name again.
On the
Well,
contrary,
do you think it's just acceptable to go around saying that? There's rules against that. Do you not have rules on the surface? We have rules here, and you can't say that name.
I don't understand your logic.
You don't understand. Only once in somebody's life can they say that name. You better never say it again. He points his finger, shaking it at you. Only once in our life can we say that name. And it's when a father has a son, his first son, and when his first son reaches manhood, the father will say the names of the 5 to his son. And then his son will enter into the trance to become a man. And then he goes and starts his own family. That is the only time someone can say that name. You don't go around saying the name of the 5. Are you crazy? But you're not supposed to know that name. How did you know that name? He begins scratching his chin.
I mean, how do you know the name if you're not supposed to say the name? It sounds
because
like...
I was the first son. You ask my brother, he's not going to know the name. Gomen thinks he knows everything, but Gomen don't know nothing. That's why Gomen ain't here no more. I know the name because I'm the first son. That's how I know the name. And when my first son reaches manhood, I'll tell him the 5 names. And then for 40 days, he will disappear and memorize the names. And when he comes out, he will never say the name again until he has his first son and his first son reaches adulthood. Jeez, you better never say it again. I can't believe you wasted it. Now your sons are never going to know. He shakes his finger at you.
With complete disregard to what he's saying, I just basically say, Alatariana's wisdom is in everything.
No! He puts his hands over his head. Stop it!
How can we be
if
intended?
You disrespect the 5 again, if you disrespect the 5 again, I'm going to sound like the alarms of war.
Disrespect?
You disrespect the 5 again, I'm going to sound the alarms of war.
There is absolutely nothing down here that Alatariana touches, and yet you speak of her as if you know anything about her. You know nothing. You're just down here in your little cave doing, like, what are you guys even doing down here? You're doing nothing.
He puts his finger to his lip and he extends his hand. You follow me. You other two stay. You other two stay. This will be quick. This will be quick. I will show you, and then you leave. You got to leave the city because technically you don't have permission to be in. Well, technically you do, but I shall show you. I shall show you. Please follow me. Other two wait. We'll be right back. This man cares very passionately about one of the five.
About Alitaria?
Stop it! Please. You cannot be disrespecting the five. This is in all seriousness right now. I'm asking you one more time. Please, do not disrespect the five. And he looks at all of you very respectfully. You can tell he's being very sincere.
What's the name of the other four?
You're not my son. And you're not reaching adulthood, so I can't tell you. I can never speak the name. I will not speak the name. To speak their name is to disrespect them. I will not disrespect the five.
Can you write it or something?
Very well, creature of the deep. I will hear your argument, but I do not see how forgetting or refusing to acknowledge someone is respect, while acknowledging their teachings and their wisdom is disrespect.
The five, listen. The five sent us here for one purpose. Long ago, in the beginning, the five sent us here. Do you know why the five sent us here? He points to a rock below the tower in front of you guys, and it's got this crazy writing on it. And then he says to you, do you know what that means? That means foundation for the age after the end. We are the foundation. We are preservers of truth here. We preserve truth. Now, please, follow me. If you look in roll 20,
I see darkness.
No, you just gotta scroll up.
Oh.
So this is kind of where you guys are. So y'all came down this way, and this isn't to scale. It's just kind of show a representative. You guys came this way. There's this path going that way. Here's the tower. And the gnome begins running off this other direction, or the direction towards the tower. As you follow him, Teshnik, you enter into, like, there's another tower here, and like a wall and like a little mini fort, and this little fort, it has like a walled entrance, and you see like gnome troops everywhere. You pass this wall here, you see another wall in front of you and an opening down. That opening opens up, and they got like another like little fort with more gnome militia. And it opens up into like another forted, like walled area with towers, and on the opposite side of that wall they got more gnome militia and like a big thing there, and then they got more here. You just see like gnome like forces everywhere. The Underdark is dangerous, and they got their city well protected. And then when you pass through like the wall there, it enters up into like the biggest like fort complex chamber you've seen thus far, with more gnome militia. And then beyond that fort, there are three gates you have to pass through. And when you pass through that gate, you enter into like the opening of Olden Foliox, the city of the deep gnome. And when you enter in, you see this statue. First thing, you see this statue right here. This statue, it's like a humanoid figure. However, the humanoid figure is headless. It has no head. It looks like the head has been knocked off. And then like the small like 5 golf balls that kind of were like spears circling the king, you see five larger rocks, like pretty big rocks, kind of protruding from the ground, and they all radiate with like the same light. And when you look to one of them, you see like you're just drawn to it, and it's like you're looking at the moon that fell from the sky. And then when you see this, the surface gnome looks to you, and he says, "To you, they are in the sky. To us, they are here. They are our light. The five are our light." And he nods his head.
I kind of carefully walk around the stones. Not just whatever these things.
What is it? Is it stalagmites or stalactites that come from the ground? Which one is it?
I believe
You know what I'm talking about?
I believe it's stalagmites that come from the ground.
Well, these five stones are like the ones that come from the ground or whatever. And they're probably, they range in height from like 10 to like 15 feet.
I go next to the one that I see the moon in, and
It's the one that you're closest to.
Yeah, I figured as much. And then I just sit cross-legged down next to it and just listen and just do nothing for a moment.
He places his hand on you. Return to us whenever you're done. And then he slowly begins to wobble back towards the rest of the party, leaving you there. Is there anything you want to do, or do you just want to sit and have your moment?
I'm just sitting.
Okay.
I think if you remember, you know what, we can kind of turn this into like one of those inspiration, like short rest kind of stories. It's like,
go ahead.
This is kind of going back into like the lore or whatever of I guess a little bit about Terrariana per se, but you may see that a very young Teshik is being taken through the woods up a hill onto like a very tall hill, and at the top of the hill there's no trees. It's just a very open tree, and it's the green moon actually. So it's like the sky is just this brilliant green, and all that you can see from the top of this hill is just this perfect view of the moon. And his mentor kind of Teshik just feels overwhelmed in that moment, and he goes to sort of bow, and then but his mentor kind of stops, and he says, no, she wouldn't want that. And then so instead his mentor sort of sits down cross-legged, and we just listen for her wisdom. That is all she would want. And Tesha kind of seems a little bit confused because, from whatever he's encountered with, like with most worshippers, they always saw this and that, but it doesn't seem that way with this. So he just follows after his mentor, and sits cross-legged down next to him, and just closes his eyes and just lets the sun of the moon kind of embellish him, and that's kind of just a flashback, and then he's kind of just back to where he is now, and he's just basically sitting there cross-legged, just in the moment of just being in the presence. He doesn't understand what this presence is per se. It just kind of seems peculiar to him, but that's all it is. And after a little bit of that, he just stands back up and begins walking back through all these gates and stuff.
Okay. To Zarbin and Elgin, you see the surface gnome return without Teshnik, and he has a pretty big grin on his face. He walks up to you guys. He's like, "I'm sorry to inform you." He looks up with a grin on his face. "Your friend is dead." And then he looks up to gauge how you respond.
It's just kind of one of those stoic face, like, I'm not buying his bullshit kind of looks.
He catches on. He's like, I couldn't fool you. And he looks at Zarvin. Did you believe me? No?
Zarbin just shakes
Okay.
his head.
He should be back. He's having a moment with. He looks around. And then he says, her. She hasn't been saying much lately. She kind of went silent a few years ago. We don't know why. We think she might be mad. I don't know. It's weird. Which it was really weird because she used to be like one of the most noble of the five. Now she's just like, screw you. Two of the five have now shut their mouths. I don't get it. And then he looks around.
When will your
well,
king
maybe
return?
one day.
I need to speak with him.
Oh, he's probably going to be bathing for a while because, the one guy said it, so he has to go bathe. He's got to purify himself, Yeah.
So is he
And then he's
coming
like
back
looking
out
around.
after the bath, or should it just get ready for bed?
I don't know. You guys begin to hear an echoing coming from down the hall where you guys came, the tunnel you guys initially came from. The surface of his eyes squint, and he kind of looks down towards it. And then he looks at you guys and is like, "Do you hear that? What is that?" He sticks his hand on the dagger on his side. The echoing, it gets a little bit louder, and you begin to hear, "Help! Help! Help!" It sounds like someone's running and screaming your guys' way. "Help! Help! Help! Help!" The gnome pulls out his dagger, and then he begins shouting in a tongue you guys don't understand back behind him. And as he shouts, multiple gnomes, they begin to rush out with weapons drawn. How do you guys respond?
Does the voice sound familiar at all, or is it?
No, you don't understand it. Actually, it's not even in a tongue you understand, so it wasn't help. It was all in a tongue you don't understand.
Oh, okay.
And about this time, I would say this is Peshnik. You guys are beginning to walk down. Teshnik, as you approach, you see gnomes begin to rush out the tower with weapons drawn. And the echoing gets louder, and then you see a gnome come into sight. He appears to be grabbing his side. He's limping and dragging one of his legs. And the surface gnome was like, "My God, by the five!" And he runs to embrace this gnome who appears to be injured. When you get a better view of it, this gnome, he's bleeding profusely. It looks like one of his arms had been chopped off, and he's squeezing with everything in him, the arm, where the arm was, blood is everywhere, and it appears one of his legs are heavily jacked up. And when he falls at the feet of the surface gnome Sir Benofin. The surface gnome begins to speak to him in a language you guys don't understand.
No,
And the other gnomes, they kind of begin to rush up.
I'd jog over and place my hand on the injured gnome and begin to present some of Korinkor's love into to heal his wounds.
Nice. You see his eyes just light up, and you can just see the respect now coming from the other gnomes around you guys.
Yeah, just
and after you
heal him for 10.
After you heal him, you guys begin to hear some. Elgin, you begin to hear some of the other gnomes begin to speak in gnomish. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're actually attacking. This is crazy. What are we going to do?" Another one's like, "We'll kill all of those Duergar." And then the surface gnome, he turns to you guys. He says, one of our most holy sites is being attacked by the Duergar. Are you familiar with them?
No.
I believe they're surface cousins. You may be more acquainted with them, the dwarves. He's speaking in common so all of you guys can hear.
I
And then
do not,
he turns.
do
what?
not know much of these Dwargar, but it seems you two are children of. And he almost says it, and he's like, "You may not be the wisest of her children, but you're children nonetheless. And whatever it is that is threatening you down here, I feel it is my calling to protect the children of of her." He says, kind of like with the quote, like a little bit of like mocking this, but to the fact that like he can't say her name around them. But so tell me where are these Dwargar?
He looks around to the other gnomes. They begin to say something back and forth in a tongue you don't understand. And then he says, "Here, my brother will show you the way.
Well,
Please go do what you can, and we will soon be sending reinforcements. We're going to gather our men, we're going to gather our troops, and we'll meet you there." It sounds like this is a pretty heavy attack, and they're there in full force.
hold up. What's really the difference between you and them?
What do you mean? The difference between us and them?
Yes,
They are evil.
they're
They
evil.
are vile. They are despicable. They are attacking one of our holy sites to take what is our. That devil spider already took part of it. We can't let the Drugar have the rest. You have to stop them. You want to earn our trust? This is how you do it. You see like passion and fury coming from this guy now.
Are they? I just pause for a second, and I just say in Elven, look over at Teshik, like, you think they're really evil, or that the gnomes are overreacting?
I say in Elvish back to you. uh, these ones, they. Okay, by the way, how do other languages work? Is it like other languages in like real world life where like if you say a name, it's like it's like the name sounds the same in all languages because it's like a proper name? Or like if I'm speaking in Elvish to him, can I say stuff to him that like it doesn't sound like Altariana?
I mean, you could probably allude to it or something, or say it not in the
I know.
same way.
I guess I was just curious. I could
Well,
do it either way. I was
there
just kind of
there
curious.
probably be an Elvish name for like different name for the gods. I would believe. It wouldn't surprise me.
There really wouldn't be like there really wouldn't be an alternative name. Maybe certain things would have an alternative name. There really wouldn't be an alternative name for Alterana or however you say it. I can't pronounce it. I have to be looking at its spelling while pronouncing it. But chances are Elgin has never even heard that name. The only reason you know that name is because of your upbringing and you're a druid of the moon and all of that. So when you like spoke that name, and that gnome like freaked out and the king rushed off, Elgin's probably like, "What the crap?"
Yeah.
You know?
I
would
think everybody's
basically
a little bit crap.
I'd basically say to Elgin that I don't think I think a lot of their judgment is a bit confused. They seem to follow the teachings of the Moon Mother, but they they live in these caves. I don't see how down here, so deep in the middle of the darkness, they could learn much, but their hearts seem good, and they looking around, they seem so weak, so helpless, which is kind of ironic, like as he's saying this, because like Teshik as a character, like as a physical character, he's very thin. He's like actually looks almost as thin like as like Zarbin too. He's like not very strong looking himself. So it kind of seems ironic he's like saying things like that, but he's like, but if these Dwerg are violent, then and these gnomes have to go, there's going to be casualties. So perhaps you can help me save them from whatever fate it is that they would otherwise encounter if we did not.
Oh, while y'all are talking, y'all noticed that Zarbin just started walking down the tunnel.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll just
as you
start walking that way as well.
as you begin to walk off, the gnome that the surface gnome had pointed to, saying that like he'll accompany you, he catches up to you quickly. Wait up! Wait up! Wait up! He says in a language you don't understand. Well, actually, he says it in gnomish, so Eldrin would have understood it. Crap!
Am I not supposed to see that many people?
I don't see anything.
Crap!
I'm just all right. I'm just minimizing, so I don't see anything. Okay, there we go.
Okay, you're good now.
I would actually say back to the to whatever the gnome guard is that you what do you intend to be able to do against these Dwergar? Your hearts may be good, but hearts don't do anything. You should just stay here and let us handle this.
He looks at you for a second, then he speaks up. Go and be the first line. Go and be the first line. When our troops are assembled, we will follow in behind.
Oh, you're gonna slow that up and not cry. You cried the whole time.
Very well.
Cried the whole
But
time.
Okay,
Yeah, I just catch up to Zarbin and walk along
Okay.
behind him as he's doing his weird thing.
Okay. So he leads you down some tunnels, a few turns. You turn a few ways opposite of the direction that you guys came. And then you guys enter into one particular tunnel. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Oh, and Zarbin casted light. He used his eyeballs as light source.
All right. We are going to be at the bottom of the page. So you guys enter into a tunnel. The tunnel, you see it quickly. You see a quick, like a split off the tunnel where it like opens up into another passage, and you begin to hear like cries of help coming from within this like tunnel protruding off the side. The gnome that's giving you guys the direction, he looks your direction and he says, quick, we must help our brother. And he says, that way, go that way. It sounds like he's in there. Once you help him, go. He points, says, once you help him, points that way. And he says, it will take you straight to the holy site. please, I must rush back to the others. And he rushes back. When you go through this opening here,
He's a weirdo.
when you go through the opening, you see it. There's like a passage that it opened up into. And the cries of help appear to be coming from within the tunnel that you're approaching now, or the opening you're approaching now. When you walk in, you see two Duergar have a gnome cornered, and the gnome is crying out for help.
I put my
So,
hand on Zarbin's shoulder and I say, Zarbin, remember the time with the woman and how you approached that situation.
Zarbin will walk up and he'll start speaking in Dwarven.
the two Duergar, they turn to look at you real quick, and they're like, "Oh, one of pale skin. Who are you?" They say in Dwarven.
My name is Zarbin. What's your name?
They look to each other, and they hesitate for a second, and then they both swing their axes. They turn to the gnome, and they both swing their axes at the gnome. One of them hits. You see the gnome fall back, but he quickly gets back up and he like swings the axe that he has at one of the other, not the Duergar who hit him, but the other one, and he hits the other Duergar pretty hard, taking a chunk out of him. And it is initiative. Can I get your guys' HP and AC?
Yeah.
Zarbin's HP is 28 and his AC is 15.
Elgin?
AC 18, HP 38.
Teshnik?
AC 16, HP 31.
Dude, this fucking initiatives, I keep killing it.
Okay, so it is going to be Elgin, Teshnik, the Duergar, the gnome, and then Zarbin. Elgin, what do you do?
Let's see. I need to minimize these a little bit. I will walk forward and yeah, so I point at one of the Duergar, the one that just swung and hit the gnome, and say in Dwarven, like, your fight is with me right now. As I cast Compelled Duel.
Reading it real quick. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Okay. What's the save or the DC?
DC 11.
Okay. And you said the The one that hit the gnome?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. He looks your way and he seems entranced. So now it is Teshnik.
I'm gonna just walk over here and I'll probably just pelt that one with a stone, I guess. Guessing that misses.
That is. Okay. The Duergar that is entranced with you, he rushes over to you and he takes a swing at you with his axe. Takes a swing at you, and you dodge out of the way. The other gnome, or the other Duergar, he steps up and takes a swing at the deep gnome. His swing misses. The gnome then swings back at the Duergar for a miss. And then that brings us to Zarbin.
Hold on a second, let me read. Signature No, I'm gonna cast Hold Person on the Duergar.
Which one?
This one.
Okay. Okay, choose a creature that you can see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be paralyzed for the duration. At the end of each of its turn, the target can make another wisdom saving throw on its next spell. Ends on target. Okay.
And my DC
So what's
is 14.
Okay. Okay. You see like it practically stops in its tracks, and that brings us back to Elgin.
I attempt to incapacitate the Duergar that's in front of me
Okay.
through violence by smacking him in the face with a hammer.
Okay. Elgin 19. That's 12 points of bulging damage.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. You see he gets hit. He falls to the ground. He kind of like drops his axe for a second, but then he quickly like grabs it and he's preparing to lunge back up at you. As he prepares to lunge back up at you, Teshnik, it is your turn.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Did whatever Zarvin did, does the one seem to be like affected by it or no? I didn't hear you.
He seemed to stop in his tracks.
Okay, I'm just trying to remember. I'm still attacking that one. I'm just trying to. Actually,
Okay.
don't remember what the conditions do.
Paralyzed gives you advantage on the attack.
Okay, so it is advantage. What the hell is this in the fucking thing? I've gone through like so many pages trying to find it.
It's near the end. It's on like page 291. It's under conditions.
Oh yeah, the
Appendix
conditions
A.
are way at the end for some reason.
Okay, I must have just missed it. 299. 298. Whatever, I'll just make my roll while I look through it. But if you guys say it's advantage, I'll take your word on it. So, whoosh, throw another stone. 18.
You can see like he like squirms in pain, but he's unable to like express any expression of pain because he's frozen in his tracks. And as you strike him, the gnome or the Duergar that Elgin had knocked to the ground, he grabs his axe and he lunges back up, taking a swipe at Elgin. And the swipe connects, and it does 4 points of damage.
All right.
And the Duergar that's stopped in his tracks. You see, he's doing everything in his power to fight, being like frozen, and then you see he like kind of breaks out of it, and he lets out a cry of war, and he clenches his axe, and now he stares up towards Teshnik, and as he stares up towards Teshnik, the gnome that he was fighting, he swipes at his back. He swipes at his back, but the Duergar, he dodges out of the way from the swipe, as if he had eyes in the back of his head, and that brings us back to Elgin.
All right. So, is concentration checks? Is that with Constitution or is that just a flat D20?
Yeah, it's a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, okay. Wanted to make sure. Okay, so I nailed the concentration check. Spell save. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to make that when you take damage.
I did. I got hit.
Yeah.
I was just.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up the rule. Yeah, I recoil from the strike and just lay into him with the warhammer as I unleash my vengeance.
Okay.
And
you
if-
lay into him and describe to me what happens here.
As I can see that he's injured, so I rear down and slam on his knee, and then with the warhammer just shattering his kneecap, leaving him incapacitated on the ground.
Okay. And now I believe that brings us to Teshnik.
I'll just be like, what are you looking at, little one? And I'll just pelt him with another stone in the face. Why do I keep closing my sheet? Because I'm stupid and don't think. Just gonna be the first roll. I think I forgot to take off manage. 14.
Okay, he dodges out of the way of the stone, and as he dodges out of the way, he lets out a cry of war and he charges at you. And he goes to attack. And as he charges away from you, though, the gnome gets to take a swipe at him. The swipe misses. The Duergar charges up at you, and he swings his axe at you, connecting, swiping across your chest for 6 points of damage. The gnome then charges up behind the Duergar and goes to swipe at the Duergar. His swipe again misses. And that brings us back to the top of the order with Elgin. Or wait a minute, no, it's Zarbin.
Oh, Zarbin.
Oh, let's see. We will do that. And Zarbin's going to summon this ball of blue light in his hand, and he's going to Hadoken the Duergar. Hadoken! Or miss.
Yes, he dodges out of the way. Elgin?
Well, not to, rain on the Duergar parade or anything like that, but I just walk over and attempt to incapacitate this one as well. Wow. But a little off balance because having to step over the squealing Duergar, and I miss horribly.
Let's hope this Durgar doesn't turn into the goblin from last session.
Oh God. Yeah, the one that we can't hit.
Okay,
And he crit us like 3 times.
okay, so Teshnik now.
I guess I'll pull out my yeah, whatever. I'll pull out my scimitar and I guess just do like a swing at his face. And that's a 1.
Okay, you pull out your scimitar and you swing at his face. As you swing, it's almost as if he sees the attack coming. He quickly dodges down, and he goes to with a backhand swing across your backside. He goes to swipe at you. And as he does, he completely trips and he falls flat on his face at your feet, prone at your feet. And as he falls and he's down on the ground prone, you see the gnome goes to just drive his axe into his back. And it connects. The Duergar, he lets out just this cruciating cry, and you see this gnome's axe goes into it lodges into the Duergar's back. The gnome goes to pull it out, but he can't get it out. It's stuck in there. The Duergar still has some fight left in him. He's crying out pretty loud though. And that brings us to Zarbin. The gnome or the Dwugar is laying on the ground prone.
So Zarbin will clench his fist and blue fire will erupt from the ground. I'll cast Sacred Flame. He needs to make a deck save.
Do you get a deck save when you're prone?
We'll see. Prone. Is prone a thing? Is that a condition that you can have?
I believe so. Isn't it in the very back of the player's handbook?
It doesn't change anything with deck saves. It doesn't look like I have it open right now.
Yeah, he can roll on his belly.
Yeah.
No, you scorch him. Describe to me what happens here. He's out.
So the gnome has the pickaxe buried into his back, right?
Yeah.
So I think when the fire erupts from the ground, the dwarf tries to shake it off, but he's just stuck there. So he just keeps getting burned until he gets charred and to ash.
Okay. So the gnome, as he's burning, you see the gnome. He's and he lets go of the handle of his axe and he backs out. He's like, "You burnt my hands."
I mean, well, you're alive at least. I look at the.
Yes, thank you.
I look at the unconscious Dwuger in front of me, and I just touch him and.
What do you do?
I just touch him and bring him back to consciousness.
I took at least 3 bites.
Okay. You see him open his eyes. What? What do you want?
So let's start at the beginning here. What's your name?
Wait a minute. What language are you speaking?
Dwarven?
Okay. My name, it is no concern to you. You filthy animal.
See, here I was under the impression that there might have been some misunderstanding between the Dwugar and, these pale gnomes, but at the rate you're going, you're really really not helping your
Mid
situation.
sentence, he spits on you.
I slowly brush it away.
You're gonna die a very painful death.
You know, I was gonna,
Zarbin will walk up and he'll say, "Do you wish to be burned like your friend?" And he'll like squat down. His like holy symbol will dangle in front of his
I'm
chest.
not afraid of death. He spits at you too.
look.
Zarbin burns him.
No, don't. Just, let me handle this for a second here. Listen, there's a spider demon down here that I think is of greater concern than your petty quarrel with the gnomes. Wouldn't you think so?
We will take the rest of what the demon could not, and then we will take what the demon has.
All right.
All will bow to the Drugar.
I seem to have been misinformed as to your intentions.
Now Zarbin
yeah,
burns them
Zarbin,
all
yeah,
up.
go for it. I think that you can certainly fix this situation. As I sit there and like wipe the spit off.
We'll try produce flame this time.
He's snarling at all of you guys. Go ahead and just describe how he dies.
So Zarbin, he likes crouching like a couple feet away from him. He just holds out his hand, and this small blue ball of flame just like erupts from his hand and hits the Durgar in the face.
Nice.
Yeah. I look over at Teshik and I'm like, I guess the gnomes were right on this one.
There's a lot of anger in these people. I respect it, but they threaten Altari and his children.
And just kind of like shake my head for a second and wait for the gnome that's with us to start freaking out. Like, if he doesn't,
He's kind of like looking around calmly at everything going on, like eyes wide, not understanding the dwarven tongue.
I'm
He
like,
just kind of sees you guys bring back to life this Duelar that you killed, and you guys have an argument with him. He spits at you, and then you guys burn him again.
How bad or how badly hurt does the gnome look?
He looks like he'll live.
Zarbin will say a celestial word and heal him.
His eyes go wide. He's like, "Thank you." Please, please, he runs up to you. You must help the others. You must help the others. I believe there are some in the holy chamber. They can't get into the holy chamber. They don't know the words.
Is
But
he
I
speaking
believe there are
common?
some. No, he's speaking gnome.
Okay.
There are some more in the maze of the bones. Please, please, you must help them.
well,
Ask him why he's not afraid of me.
sure. And I look at the gnome. I'm like, what are the magic words to get in the chamber?
They're written on the wall. They're written on the wall. I don't know them. I would have to see them and read them. I don't read it. I don't read it that well. I don't read it that well.
I look at Zarbin and I say, he doesn't fear you because he respects the good in you. And I look
You
back at
see, he's looking around. He then looks at Zarbin, and then you see he begins to back up slowly against the wall. What? And then he like falls to his knees and he's like grabbing his like head and he's like looks down to the ground. You can see he's like bracing for death. He says nothing. He just braces.
he cowers in fear of
No reason. I can't do nothing.
your goddess and
I'm here.
her
Go to bed.
presence. Whatever. Let's go. There's more Dweeper to kill, and eventually these These fucks will stop being assholes. Sorry.
I'm starting to believe that everyone down here is just mad.
That's also a very good possibility at this point.
Come here. Hey. Come here.
So let me get my little revealer.
And
So you guys begin walking around the tunnel. And as you enter into the straight part of the tunnel you're approaching, you begin to see light. It's almost as if like natural light is protruding. The light grows brighter. And as you travel, you walk through the rest of the tunnel.
while this is going on, I cast a Shield of Faith on myself, bringing my AC up to 20. So that's going to last for 10 minutes. So just to let you know.
Cool.
And I start to shimmer. There's like a slight sheen surrounding me as I'm now walking around.
Okay, as you enter through here, it's as if you're like exiting like the like exit of a cave, and you come into this like giant, this like not giant but pretty large chasm, and it has no like there is no earth above you. It's like just like an opening, like a giant pit coming out from the Underdark, and like the natural sun is just lighting, illuminating this like little chamber. The rock to the side, the like ground with like the swirls, that's like the rock that like extends just like hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air, probably several miles. There's an arrangement of giant boulders. It looks like a ledge on the side, and on the opposite side of this chasm, there's like another like passage going back into the earth. And it looks like this passage, it has like gold trim around it with like ornate markings on it. You can't really make out what the ornate markings say. It looks like the markings and this like gold paneling around this entrance, it looks as if it's been beat down and corroded by like maybe like rock slides and other things like that. It appears to be a bit ruined.
All right. Well, I just kind of start jogging. Oh my! How I have control of everybody. Oops. Yeah, just kind of start jogging forward to
Okay.
hurry up to get to the chamber because that's what the gnome said.
Okay. And as you approach, you see a Drugar with a fine shield step out from the Underdark. And right there, with that said, we are going to take a quick break.
Definitely give some drink.
Teasing us like that.